we invite you to introduce yourself and tell us why you came. So if you're interested in doing that, please click that blue raise hand icon right now. And while you're finding that, I'm going to go ahead and call on Lakeisha Morrison. Lakeisha Morrison's a young woman resident of Royal Oak who's been organizing the Black Lives Matter protest, including the Black Lives Matter protest at 2 p.m. this afternoon, which I hope a lot of us can attend. But Lakeisha, please introduce yourself.
I'm Lakeisha. I was born and raised in Royal Oak. I have a lot of history in Royal Oak, family-wise. We were the first Black African Americans that escaped slavery to come to Royal Oak and help build it. We worked alongside the Starr family, and we still have home off of Crooks Road in Webster, right next to the Planet Fitness. So I'm very strong in the community. I have children that go to Oak Ridge and in the middle school, so I'm happy to be here, pretty much. So.
Well, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about this protest that's scheduled for 2 p.m. today in Royal Oak.
So I hate to continue to see the same thing happen over and over again. So we're protesting Black Lives Matter because at the end of the day, we are fighting against equality. We want the same things as everyone else. We don't want to be treated any differently. We're sick and tired of having to police the police and having our men being killed for no reason because either it's their skin color or they're being judged or stereotyped.
Thank you very much. And that's everybody interested in attending, that's at 2 p.m. today in front of Royal Oak City Hall, the old City Hall at 211 South Williams. And of course, it's a social distancing protest, so wear your mask and try to keep 6 feet from everybody else. But thank you very much, Lakeisha.
Yes,
and we'll see you at 2 p.m. this afternoon, no question.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Appreciate
thanks.
it. Nice to meet everyone. Bye.
Christina Lodovici, please go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Yes, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm actually the new state director for Veterans and Military Families Council for the DNC here in Michigan. And if there are any veterans interested in helping with veterans issues, please reach out to me and I'll drop my email in the group chat if that's all right with you.
Sure is. Thank you very much. Thanks for introducing yourself. Karen Nisley, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Karen Nisley. I'm just a resident of Royal Oak who wants to get involved based on everything that's been going on. I'm tired of just reading about things and I want to get involved.
Great, and thank you for joining us. You're welcome. Maria Szyminski, please go ahead.
Sorry about this. Okay. My name is Maria Szyminski. I'm a volunteer with the Michigan Democratic Party, and toward the end of the meeting, I'll be talking about our voter protection program. The reason we are trying to engage people now is we know the Republican National Committee has committed tens of millions of dollars to voter suppression. And we also know that they've dispatched teams of disruptors and evildoers to our state to try to spread misinformation and otherwise suppress the vote. So we're trying to get everybody involved. If you can, please stick around at the end of the meeting and I'll talk more about it. Thank you.
So what we're going to do today, since our meeting agenda was fairly well jammed when the Michigan Voter Protection Project asked to be added, we're going to go ahead and complete our regular meeting, adjourn. And then if you're interested in hearing about the Michigan Voter Protection Project, just stay right here in the Zoom meeting and we'll go straight to Maria right after we adjourn. Sam Miller, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Miller. I am the new organizer with the One Campaign for Michigan in Royal Oak. Really excited to be here for this meeting. I think that, Tom, we're going to get to talk a little bit more about our volunteer efforts later in the meeting, but just wanted to introduce myself and say I'm really excited to be here.
And we're excited to have you. Thanks, Sam. Okay, now, is there anybody else that wanted to introduce themselves first time at a meeting or first time here in a long time? Just tell us why you came. Or anybody that has any announcements? Going once. Amanda Herzog, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Royal Oak Environmental Advisory Board Chair, and I just wanted to update you. On May 23rd, the EAB passed out 100 oak trees in Royal Oak that, along with the Nature Society, they gave out 100, so we have 200 trees in Royal Oak, which we're really excited about. But I also wanted to point out that as soon as we can meet, we are going to be approving a resolution called acknowledging the climate change crisis and directing completion of the greenhouse gas inventory. Now, we all know that the climate change crisis is a big deal, but the importance of this is that we can take a data-driven approach to setting good sustainability goals for our community. And so this is our first step, and this will be then taken to the commission and hopefully approved, and we can have a more sustainable community. And then I'm also the Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commissioner, and we all know that the park systems in Oakland County is such a value to our community, especially during the stay-at-home time, and we had the parks free for everyone to use to get out of their homes. But I just wanted to let you know that the playgrounds are now open, the dog parks are open today, beaches will start being opened on Monday as soon as the health department can do their water quality analysis. And there's a bunch of, because some of the activities are going to be canceled, there's going to be a bunch of virtual opportunities and remote opportunities. So check out their Facebook page and their website for those activities. And that's it. Thanks.
Quick question, Amanda. Did you say the parks are free now? There's no longer a fee?
No, so they were free during the stay-at-home, and so that now there'll be a charge for.
Okay, so they're back to charging a fee like usual. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda. Camilla Duke, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name's Camilla Duke. I work with Sam Miller on the One Campaign for Michigan with the Michigan Democratic Party, and I'm the local organizer for Madison Heights, as well as other parts of the area, including Ferndale and Hazel Park. So I just wanted to hop on and introduce myself as well. And like Sam, I'll be talking later about some volunteer efforts with the Michigan Democratic Party that you all can get involved in.
Thank you, Camilla. And then I'll repeat some instructions. If you hover over your Zoom menu at the bottom of your screen and click the participants icon, that'll open up a window on the right side of your screen. And in there's a blue raise hand icon. And that's what you click if you need to address the group. Click that blue raise hand icon and we'll call on you. We're doing announcements now. If you're interested in being a dues paying member, the dues are $10 per month. And if you signed up on our email list, you'll get a link to how you can pay dues online. We can collect dues online now. Our treasurer, Ian Duncanson, set that up for us. There's a Black Lives Matter protest today at 2 p.m. in front of Royal Oak City Hall, the old City Hall, the old building at 211 South Williams. They haven't moved into the new building yet. That's today at 2 p.m. It's a social distancing protest, so please wear your mask and try to stay 6 feet from everybody else there. And then election inspectors. The Royal Oak City Clerk is in need of election inspectors. You know, a lot of the folks that do that tend to be retired, and a lot of them are just plain old afraid to do it this year because of the coronavirus. So if you are interested in being an election inspector, you know, helping people vote on election day at the various voting sites, please sign up for that. It's a paid position. You get paid for it. And go to the Royal Oak City Hall website, the city clerk's office, and she has an application there you can fill out. I filled one out. I know Ian did too, and some other folks. Kim Moon, you had an announcement. Go ahead, please. I'm afraid, Kim, you're still muted if you're trying to talk.
Hi, Tom. I just wanted to say the dues are $10 a year, not a month, correct?
That is correct. The dues are $10 per year, not per person, not $10 per month. So thanks for that correction, Kim. I appreciate that. That was very stupid of me. Ian Duncanson, can you give us a treasurer's report, please?
Yeah, hi everybody. So great news, since we've went online and had that capability, we've had $480 of dues incoming since March. That puts our current account balance at $3,155.71. We currently have $250 outstanding that we made as a donation to the Nature Center, but they have yet to cash the check. So that'll bring us down to $2,905.71.
Does anybody have any questions for Ian about the budget? Just click that raise hand icon if you do. Alrighty, let's go to our guest speaker, Julie Campbell-Bode with Fems for Dems. Fems for Dems is one of those independent political organizations that's going to help us defeat Donald Trump this November. There's a whole pile of them out there, groups like Fems for Dems, people getting involved in the political process that never have before. And it's a wonderful thing to see groups like Indivisible, Fems for Dems, this entire Black Lives Matter movement, and we're going to set authoritarianism back on its ear this November. But Julie Campbell-Bode, please go ahead.
Much, Tom, and thank you to everybody for having me here today. I'm a local Royal Oak resident, actually, so I'm very excited to be here and see so many fellow Royal Oak folks that are so passionate about saving our democracy. I first of all wanted to acknowledge that we are living through so many crises all at once: a racial crisis, a health crisis, an economic crisis, a democratic crisis, and I know you all know that. But I've been pontificating over this for the last couple of weeks in terms of trying to get myself into a positive, space, I suppose. And I heard someone speak about it as being an opportunity potentially for us to actually, to make it transformational. I think there are so many people out there that are so aggrieved, disgusted, appalled, upset, or a whole range of emotions, that I think it provides us with an opportunity. Now, I know that each one of you are incredible leaders and activists, but for every one of you incredible leaders and activists in our community, there are literally thousands of others that are just as frustrated, just as upset, just as tired of all of this, but they don't necessarily consider themselves to be political. So we don't just want them to vote. We want them to get activated and to get hundreds of others, each one of them to get hundreds of other folks to vote. And that's really where Fems for Dems and Fems for Democracy, our two organisations, where we basically come from. We started back at the beginning of 2016 as a group of just a few women who had never actually got politically involved in the past. We were those people that were sitting at home going, well, we're not particularly political, but, we do think that, women should have a right to choose. And we do believe in the LGBTQ movement. We do believe Black Lives Matter. We do believe, in public schools and immigration and social and justice and equity. So we believe in all of those things, but we just never really were motivated enough to, I suppose, just to get off our butts and do anything about it. So back in 2016, early 2016, we decided to do something, and that was working to help get what we thought was going to be the first female president elected, Hillary Clinton. That didn't happen, clearly, but it didn't stop us. In fact, it motivated us, and we were a large part of the 2018 movement of, thankfully, getting our governor, our Secretary of State, and our Attorney General elected. So I suppose a lot of you here may have heard of Fems and our community. How we position ourselves, how we promote ourselves is really, and what we, I suppose the values that we live by are really about getting your average everyday person, as I said, that doesn't necessarily consider themselves political, but they do consider themselves to be a decent human being that believes in justice and women's rights and sensible gun violence prevention, all of the values that we stand for, and getting them engaged at a level that they feel comfortable with. So we spend a lot of time creating, if anyone here has been to any of our events, we spend a lot of time creating spaces for people to come and get motivated, creating energy that allows people to walk away feeling like, you know what, I had fun there and I also made a difference. And then when it comes to activism, we spend a lot of time not just training people on how to knock doors, training people how to make calls, training people how to do postcards, but we actually hold their hand and do it with them. So for instance, our phone banks, even back to the Hillary Clinton days, we had one of the largest phone banks in the whole of Michigan for Hillary Clinton during her candidacy. 2018, every week we would meet for phone banks, and there would be more than couple of hundred people at a time phone banking. Same went for our canvassing. We would basically create an environment where we'd hold your hand. We'd actually literally go out, take you out there to all of the different areas around Oakland County at that stage and help you. A lot of people have never knocked doors before. Like I said, if you're not politically active or that sort of thing scares you, it's so important not just to train, but to take people's hands and create an environment that they feel comfortable. So we've grown our community from back in 2016, obviously just a handful of women sitting around a table. I just want to point out, when we say Fems, we are feminists. So we don't preclude men. If you're a feminist, and I know a lot of men in this meeting will consider themselves to be feminists. I know that, hopefully all of you. We're welcome to men and women. So we're very careful about that. But we have grown to more than 7,000 people in our community. So we believe that community is incredibly important. It's so important for everyone to feel like that they have a space that they can come into, and a space, like I said, they can enjoy, they can get motivated, and they can save democracy. I wanted to mention, I don't know if anyone here has heard of the WAVE system. Nothing matters more in 2020 than getting people out to vote. And we have been 110% committed to that since last year, when I see Paul Amante and Indivisible guys are on the Zoom here, where we started training people for the WAVE system. We now have literally hundreds of our community that are signed up for WAVE and are actually using WAVE, the WAVE system, which is a way to reach out to your family, friends, everyone you know, to be able to sign them up for an absentee ballot application. So there are ways for everybody, and that can be done from the comfort of your sofa. You don't have to. A lot of people don't feel comfortable knocking doors, particularly now, but even beforehand and even moving forward, they don't necessarily feel comfortable picking up a phone or knocking on a stranger's door. So we're all about trying to find ways to engage with people and activate people in a way that matters to them and that makes sense to them. I just want to quickly, before I close off, I want to mention, I know that Tom mentioned, I saw a note on Facebook about, we're questioning our independence. We obviously are democratic, through and through. We are separate to the Democratic Party, but we don't align ourselves with any particular candidate, and we basically work very hard for all candidates that come through the primary. We have expanded here in Oakland County. We also have expanded into Macomb County. We do a lot of work in Wayne County as well. So across Southeast Michigan, we're working constantly. Candidate speed dating. I don't know if anyone remembers that from a couple of years ago, but we did candidate speed dating. We launched that back in 2018 because we recognized that your average person sitting on the sofa that's frustrated, yelling at the TV, thinking, what the hell's happening to my country? That a lot of them don't even know who's running for office, let alone what district they're in, or let alone what those people actually stand for. So we decided that we would spend a lot of time introducing candidates, Democratic candidates, to the constituents and vice versa. Obviously, we were due to have start that again back in March, and we were having 3 of those across Oakland and Macomb County. Unfortunately, COVID happened, so we turned it virtual. We ended up having 64 candidates that we introduced to our community, and over 40,000 views on Facebook Live for those candidates. So we had a significant impact during that. We're continuing to have events virtually. We really do hope that in the not too distant future, we'll be out knocking doors and making a difference from that perspective. I want to just point out that this Tuesday night, we have Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed. We're running a health series during this crisis. So we had one of our community members very early on in the crisis talking to us, who's an infectious diseases specialist, talking to us about COVID, trying to demystify the myths. And this Tuesday at 5 o'clock, we have Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed, who I'm sure you all remember and know from the gubernatorial race back in 2018. He's going to be speaking to us, to our community about, he's an epidemiologist, so his specialty is tracking and tracing disease. And he's going to be talking to us about, how do we go back into the community? How do we open up safely? The sorts of precautions. So that'll be a Q&A session. So I'm excited about that. I am very happy. That's probably enough from me. I know that Christina, who is also on our board, posted in the chat our website. So please, we'd love to have you. It is a community. We're not a club. We don't do meetings. We simply are a community that provide opportunities to engage. A couple of weeks ago, we had the governor join us for a virtual lunch. We just provide fun ways for people to get involved and engaged and activated. So I'm very happy to take any questions that anyone may have.
And if you have any questions for Julie Campbell-Bode, first you want to click your participants icon in the menu at the bottom of the screen, and then that opens up a window on the right. Then inside that window is a raise hand icon. So click that blue raise hand icon if you have any questions. And while people are figuring that out, I got 2 questions for you. First, what happens at a speed dating event? That sounds like fun. That sounds like something we could do.
You know what? It's lots of fun, Tom. So in the face-to-face, in the old world, basically what we did is people arrive and we first of all, find out for them what their district is. We have all of the candidates in what we call pods, so little areas where they have chairs around them, and we divide it into three half-an-hour lots. So people arrive, they find out who's running for office for them, and they pick who they're going to go and sit down with for that those half-an-hour lots, and sit down, and they're able to hear from the candidate, ask questions of the candidate face to face. So that's how it works in a live version. Now in the virtual world, we basically had to divide it up into half-an-hour lots, interviewing each candidate from Zoom to Facebook Live, and people would ask questions from Facebook Live, and whomever was interviewing the person would ask the questions of the candidate. So it's just a way to be able to engage and ask questions about the people running for office. And like I said, in the live version, it's about finding out for a lot of people, they don't even know what district they are. So a way for the candidates to get to know their constituents. And back in 2018, a lot of the candidates back in the day was, Hayley Stevens, Alyssa Slotkin, they got a lot of their volunteers and their donors from those sorts of discussions. We had several of them.
And we might steal that idea. Then that second
Very
question.
welcome to it.
You mentioned getting on the doors. What's your plan for that? Because I know I've been pushing the same, but people are leery for obvious reasons.
Yeah, look, we're actually going to start we're going to test them in person next weekend. We're not going to be doing doors at that point, but I think we're first of all going to do a community check-in. So we're going to go to and then you're the first to hear about it because I've actually not launched this at all yet, but next Saturday, we'll actually be doing a community check-in where we just put ourselves at a car park in a couple of different areas in Macomb County and Oakland County and give our community the opportunity to come and to socially distance, say hi, see what's going on, and really test the waters that way. In terms of door knocking, we don't have anything at this point. I think it's probably a little early for a lot of our community to even start kind of thinking about that. But I'm hoping that in about 3 weeks' time, I plan to sit down with my board and start sort of plotting out how door knocking looks. We are actually launching a virtual door knock, which we're using the Wave system for, which we're launching. I know Belem, who is part of your team, is also on our board, and Belem and I and a few others from our team are working on a virtual door knock launch for our community in the next week or so.
Okay, if you have a question for Julie, please click that raise hand icon. Belem Morales, go ahead, please.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for your time today. Could you tell us a little bit more about how people can sign up for Wave?
Oh, absolutely. So Wave, how you can sign up, you can basically, actually I can put my, the email address. You can simply email me or ping me on Facebook or whatever you'd like to do, and we can set you up on Wave. So just to sort of, it's a very simple system. It's a system that doesn't require an app. It's a system that holds in the back of it voter data in the same way that VAN does, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with the VAN system. This holds the same data at the back end, but the front end has basically been put together to allow you to, first of all, recognize who or who the Democratic voters are. So it gives people a rating based on their propensity or their likelihood to vote Democratic, their likelihood to vote absentee, and their likelihood to vote at all. So it actually allows you to be able to look at someone, your neighbours, your friends, your barista, your hairdresser, whoever it might be, and say, you know what, they look like they're, pretty strong Democratic, but they haven't, their likelihood to vote based on their rating based on their past history is only 50%. So I know that that's my target. I know that I probably wouldn't bother sending any of you guys an absentee ballot application, but I know full well that there are people that I know that are Democratic, but they just haven't voted. There are, we lost by 10,000 votes in 2016, and we know that there are 270,000 Democrats out there in Michigan that didn't vote in 2016 by the information I've been given. So we have 270,000 people across Michigan that are an opportunity for us to pick up the 10,000 votes we lost by and more. So this is a system that enables you to recognize that and directly email, Facebook message, text message, whatever it might be, whatever means of communication you have with that person. It really is relational outreach. And we all know that I'm far more likely to react and do something if I know you rather than if you're a stranger knocking on my door. So this is a really good place to start in terms of door knocking. We're door knocking the people that we know. It allows you basically then to, as I said, email, Facebook message, text message, print it out, mail it to them, whatever you'd like to do, an absentee ballot application that has been pre-filled out for them with the information on where they need to send it to. So this is a fabulous system. It's really powerful. And if anyone used it back in 2019, I know Paula will probably nod with that. Last year, it was a very different system. It has changed enormously since then. It was really a beta system back then. It's significantly different now. So yeah, so I'm going to put my the email address. I'll put my personal email address in here.
And if anybody else has any questions for Julie, please click that raise hand icon.
I've also put my cell phone number in there as well. So if anyone has any questions they want to ask me offline, I'm more than happy to answer them.
And if you, Julie just put her email address and phone number in the chat. If you need to open the chat, there's a chat icon at the bottom of your Zoom menu. Just click that. That'll open a screen on the right, and then you can see Julie's email and phone number. We'll also put that in a follow-up email that we'll send out to the group. Does anybody have any more questions for Julie? Go ahead, Julie. I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry. Someone asked me if I was English. No, I'm Australian. So the convicts from England. Yeah.
That means you can't run for president. Gosh darn it.
No, I can't. No.
Balem, did you have a follow-up question?
I do have a follow-up question. Now, I know our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, has said that she plans on sending absentee ballot applications. Now, I know the WAVE system, that's the same thing it does. Can you elaborate on why it's so important that we go ahead and continue to send ballot applications?
Balem, you asked the best questions. You are my question maker of the year, I'm telling you. Great question. Yes. So as I mentioned before, the likelihood of someone reacting to a stranger, not an Australian, a stranger reaching out to them, whether it be by mail, by door knock, by phone, is very slim. So the information I've been given is there's a 0.15 open rate on a stranger. I don't know about you, but I have a pile of mail from people I know that I don't know that sits there and either just gets torn up or thrown in the trash. And I'm the sort of person who would definitely open up something from the Secretary of State. But I'm pretty sure that those 270,000 people that didn't vote in 2016 are likely to be the sorts of people that maybe will just go, you know what, I'll get to that later or whatever. Whereas if we know that with the WAVE system and relational outreach, so if I receive an email or a text message or a direct message from, or in the mail from someone I know, there is a 25% open rate and completion rate. So the system tells you, the actual WAVE system tells you when people have opened up what you've sent to them, when they've actually activated it, so they've actually done it, and then there's part of the system that tells you when it's actually been received by the city clerk's office. So it's really powerful. So this gives you the opportunity to go back to those people that perhaps, hey, you haven't opened my email yet, what's going on, you know, and to personalize it. You can send an email to, you know, a friend or a, you know, a text message to a friend and say, hey, checking in, hope you're doing okay. This shit's crazy, right? Sorry, I'm Australian, so sometimes words slip out of my mouth. This shit's crazy. You know what we can do about it? We can vote. you know, have you signed up for absentee ballot application? You can be really personalised about it. So the other part about this system as well, Belem, that I absolutely love is that it allows you to, and I was talking to someone about this yesterday, that they don't necessarily know. You know your hairdresser, you know the name of your gynecologist, your dentist, all these other people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. But we're often really hesitant to have those conversations around politics with them. I'm not, but I know lots of people are. And so therefore, if you can look them up before you go and look up, you know, and this has the whole of Michigan on it, by the way. You can look up people by street. I did my whole entire building. I live in the 5th building, so in Royal Oak, so you probably all know that. I looked up everyone I looked up the address, and I looked up everybody in this building. So it first of all told me who I should get absentee ballots to, but also told me who I should be speaking to. So it allows you to then have those conversations with people with a little more context and a little more knowledge about who they are, and, you know, whether or not, you know, you want to speak to them, not to put too fine a point on it.
That's fascinating. Yeah, we need to get all our club members signed up and wave. Yeah. Does anybody have any more questions for Julie? All righty, Julie, thank you very much for joining us. That was incredibly interesting and incredibly useful. And yeah, I'm certainly going to get on this wave system. I had no idea it was that sophisticated. That's a fantastic system. That's really good.
Thank
Okay,
you very
great.
much for having me, Tom.
Thank you for attending. That was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's go to our Democratic Party and allied organizations reports. And Paula, are you still on the call? Paula Mante, if you're still on the meeting, please give us a report on Indivisible.
I am. Thank you, Tom. Indivisible Fighting 9, for those of you who don't know who we are activists. We have been resisting the Trump agenda literally since the day the ding-dong in the White House was elected. Our focus this year in 2020 is to flip the Michigan House. So we are working very diligently statewide. We have a statewide group as well called SWIM, Statewide Indivisible Michigan. We've asked all of our SWIM organizations, we have 45 chapters around the state of Michigan. We've asked every group to adopt a candidate in a flippable seat or one that is that needs protection this year. So we have a target of 20 seats that we're looking at as flippable and 9 that need to be protected. Indivisible Fighting 9 has adopted Nicole Braden in District 43. And she is our flip seat. She ran last cycle and moved the needle about 8 points. So we know that it's doable this year, and she's a great candidate. And we are also, as our protect candidate, we have adopted Nate Shannon in Michigan House District 25 in Sterling Heights and Warren. Both great candidates. We are already doing phone banking, some text banking. We are writing letters and postcards in addition to working for those candidates. We're also doing some work for Representative Padma Kupa. Anybody who needs it, I'm sure Rep. Allison doesn't need our help so much, but we'd be thrilled to help him if he needs some help as well. We have so many volunteers across the state that are so eager to do work. So if there's someone on the call who needs some assistance, you can get a hold of me. I'll put my email in the chat. Our group meets twice a month, the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of every month. We've been doing that for 3.5 years without fail. We now do it virtually. On our 4th Wednesday meetings, we typically have candidates speaking to us, and we have candidate Lori Sabin, who's on the call today, I think, as well. She'll be our guest speaker, and she's running for Oakland County Circuit Court. So if you are looking for work to do, please give us a call. We are currently working, and we're not going to stop until we win. We'll be done on November 4th. We'll be taking our first break.
Thank you, Paula. Does anybody have any questions for Paula? If you do, click that blue raise hand icon. Okay, thank you very much, Paula, for that report.
You're welcome.
Paul Weil, are you on the meeting now? Paul Weil, if you are, could you give us a report about precinct delegates?
Okay, very good. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? All right, very good. So yeah, in terms of precinct delegates in Royal Oak, out of the 95 allocations of precinct delegates, we have 45 who will be on the ballot on the August 4th primary ballot. And in Clawson, we have out of the 14 precinct delegate allocations, we have 1 who will be on the ballot. So a little shy there in Clawson. I have had communication with a few people who are interested in becoming write-in candidates, and so there's a process for becoming a write-in precinct delegate. Let's see, I was thinking we could post it on the club, the form, perhaps. Is there a way to post that? I can get you that form. So if anyone's interested in becoming a write-in precinct delegate, we certainly encourage people to become a write-in if they're not already on the ballot this August. Currently, I'm coordinating. We've created a flyer to encourage voters to in your precinct to vote in the August 4th primary. And we also provide a Royal Oak Democratic Club for getting on the Oakland County Democratic Oakland County email distribution and supporting the one campaign in Michigan. So that's one activity that's being coordinated right now. Another, I know some precinct delegates have gotten together with the other precinct delegates in their precinct, and they feel that they would rather do phone calls than distribute a flyer. So they too were in the process of putting together lists for folks who are interested in making telephone calls. So these are some of the activities that the precinct delegates will be engaged in to make sure that their neighbors get out and vote in the August 4th primary.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Does anybody have any questions for Paul about precinct delegate? And again, if you are interested in running as a write-in for precinct delegate, we can get you those forms. I think they have to be notarized. I can notarize that for you for free. But if anybody's interested in running as a write-in candidate for a precinct delegate, we'll send that information in the next club email, or you can contact Paul directly. Paul, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact information in the chat, then people could contact you directly if they have any questions.
Yeah, I will do that.
All righty. Then we've got Sam Miller and Camilla Duke from the Michigan One campaign. Michigan One campaign, we call it the coordinated campaign, but their job is to take all our different campaigns running for this and that office and the various independent organizations and make sure they're working in a coordinated fashion when they do the voter ID and get out to vote. But Sam Miller, please go ahead.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, everyone. My name, as Tom says, Sam Miller. I am the field organizer for Royal Oak with the One campaign for Michigan, the coordinated campaign. Really excited to be organizing here and getting to know you all and the community in the next several months leading up to the election. As we all know, the stakes are incredibly high. We need to be doing everything that we can to put our Democratic candidates in a position to be successful and win in November. And so we're starting to ramp up our early volunteer efforts, which is really exciting. And so we're going to be holding remote phone banks on Tuesday through Sunday at various times throughout the day. Would love to have you join us, whether you're a veteran or this will be your first time. Would certainly love your help to reach out to folks and talk to them now ahead of the primary, and then obviously moving forward in November. I'm going to put my contact information in the box as well as the times that we're going to be phone banking. So please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to help, if you have any questions, or generally just want to connect. Would love to speak to you and gain any insight and guidance as to how myself and our campaign can be helpful to the community through this election cycle. We also wanted to add that we have a digital kind of campaign field office since we're unfortunately not meeting in person right now. So I'll put the link to that as well, and would love for you all to join our group and invite other folks in Oakland County as well. And again, really excited to be organizing here, and I will pass it to my coworker, Camilla.
Is anybody?
Oh, sorry.
Go right ahead, Camilla.
Hi. So just to sort of jump on after Sam, I'm also a field organizer with the One Campaign for Michigan. Like I said earlier, I'm working in the Madison Heights area, as well as Ferndale, Hazel Park, and Pleasant Ridge, so some of the neighboring areas to Royal Oak. yeah, like Sam said, we're rolling out all our early volunteer efforts, and you can do all of this from the comfort of your own home. So we hope that lots of you will join us in volunteering. I'm also going to drop my contact information in the chat, and I'm also going to send the link to our online sign up for those phone banks, so that if you want to go ahead and sign up for some of those, you can do so. If you have any questions, oh, I see there's a question about that. What type of voters are you calling with the phone bank effort, and what's the message? So right now we're doing basically two kinds of voter contact. One is making sure people have received their absentee ballot application, which was sent to all Michigan voters by the Secretary of State, and then making sure that people know how to return those to their local clerk, and making sure that they have everything that they need to get that done. And if they are going to vote in person, making sure they have all the information about doing so. And the other type of voter contact we're doing is voter ID, to see if people are planning on voting for Democrats, planning on supporting the re-election of Gary Peters, and all of our local representatives and members of Congress. And then also seeing if people want to join us in volunteering, because really, we can't stress this enough, volunteers are the backbone of what we do. Sam and I cannot do what we do without volunteers who help us week in and week out to speak to members of your community, your neighbors, and get them excited about volunteering and voting in August and in November. So again, those are the two main types of voter contact we're doing right now. We'll also be soon rolling out remote text banking, which you can do from your computer. But we're happy to provide more information about that as we get it. But again, if you're interested in volunteering, please don't hesitate to reach out to Sam or to myself. We'll include our contact information in the description or in the chat box. And I really hope that we see some of you out there volunteering with us.
Thanks, Camilla. Does anybody have any questions for Sam or Camilla? If you do, please click that blue raise hand icon inside the participants window. Any questions for Sam or Camilla? Alrighty, thank you, Sam and Camilla. And we will be shoveling any volunteers we find towards you. Does anybody else have any other Democratic Party reports, 9th District or state party, anything like that? If you do, click that raise hand icon right now. Otherwise, we're going to move next to candidates. And if there's any candidates in the meeting, if you could please click that blue raise hand icon so that your name comes to the top of the list, and we'll call on you and give you a chance to introduce yourself. So if there's any candidates on the Zoom meeting right now, could you click that blue raise hand icon? I think we had a Brian Mosselin. Brian Mosselin,
how are you?
Please go ahead.
I was looking for the raised hand. I couldn't find it. My apologies. Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Mosselin. I'm a trustee at Michigan State University, and I am probably going to announce later this week that I am seeking re-election. I also want to give a shout out to my 7th and 8th grade teacher who's on this chat, Miss Karen Knisley. What a pleasure to see you. Wow. I've been seeing you in years. So I've been endorsed by the AFL-CIO. I have several endorsements, labor endorsements, ranging. I've been approved by Fems for Dems, and basically in a nutshell, if you would have told me that I would have been embroiled in the largest sex abuse scandal in the history of this country as a volunteer, that came to my doorsteps in Dearborn, where in the last 3 years I would have gone through 4 presidents, 2 athletic directors, 3 ADs, 4 general counsels, had to fight John Engler toe to toe, call for his resignation. I would have took it. I would have took it because I know what I stand for and what I believe in. It's been a very, very interesting 3 years at the university. We learned a lot about a lot of people and how they react in times of crises. I don't know how closely many of you followed, but I was the first to apologize to survivors. I was the first to meet with survivors. I held a town hall where over 5,000 people showed up. I issued a plan of reform, of which many of my initiatives were adopted, and then called for John Engler's resignation, was the first one. And I'll never forget the time when I called for his resignation. I did it on purpose before a meeting that I had with him, because I wanted him to know that I was not going to do it after I left that meeting. I wanted him to see me. And so I'll never forget when I walked into that meeting and I opened the door and I got done working out. I was sweating. And he said to me, "Hi, Brian, good morning." He said, "Are you nervous?" That was the first thing out of his mouth. And I looked him in the eyes and I said, "No, John, actually, I was working out. You might want to try it." And I sat 3 feet from him, that meeting for 3 hours, and him and I went toe to toe. And at that point, I think he realized that game was on and that I was serious and that I was not backing down. Now, it wasn't easy for 18 months sitting in a room, 1 on 12 on an island where 12 people look at you like an alien, where 7 trustees, three PR firms and 2 law firms look at you like you were wrong and looked at you like you were an alien. And 18 months, 2 years later, every initiative, every step that I took, every trustee that didn't agree with me, all came around and have all done the same thing, have all apologized. We issued a up-the-ladder escalation policy at Title IX reports. We created a chief compliance office. And so for one trustee, I've done as much as I could. And probably I would say that my greatest accomplishment is that I can sleep at night, that I have a clear conscience, you know, and it's been a fascinating ride. Many have asked me, "Why do you want to do this again?" In fact, I thought about not doing it again because you got to love the place to want to do this. I mean, you just got to love it. It's 80 hours a month of volunteer work. It's not easy. These are no longer ceremonial roles. I don't know how long I have, so cut me off if I'm going.
Yeah, you better wrap it up now. Does anybody have any questions for Brian
Anyway,
Mosselin? Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Brian? Yeah, we'll get to the other candidates. But thank you very much, Brian Mosselin, candidate running for re-election to the MSU Board of Trustees.
Go Green.
Mara Battersby Murphy, please go ahead.
Hi there. Go Green. Sorry. Good morning. It's nice to see all of you again. I wanted to thank you guys again for that really wonderful candidate forum you put on for the judicial candidates. It was a tremendous event. And I appreciate you guys listening to me then. So many of you now know me as a result of that. I just wanted to remind you that I'm running for the open seat for Oakland County Circuit Court. I have the endorsements of many of the Oakland County seated judges and of the reviewing courts, as well as organized labor. Some of my proudest endorsements come from the plaintiff's bar. I've been working for the last 6 years as a defense attorney, and my opponents have actually endorsed me and said, yes, absolutely, having litigated with her for this period of time, we know that she has the integrity, we know that she'll be fair. And so I'm really very proud of that, is that based on my handling of matters, my opponents want to see me on the bench. So very proud of that. My campaign website is moramurphyforjudge.com. I also have a Facebook page. If you like the Facebook page, you'll get all the updates on what's going on with the campaign. And I'm hoping that you will help me make it Murphy on August 4th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mara Battersby Murphy. Robert Wittenberg, please go ahead.
Thanks, Tom, and good morning, everyone. Hello, Royal Oak Dems. Robert Wittenberg. I am the state representative in the next district over from all of you, representing Berkeley, Huntington Woods, Oak Park, Ferndale, Pleasant Ridge, Hazel Park, and Royal Oak Township. I have the township. And I'm actually in my 3rd term, and I am term limited, but I'm a candidate for the open Oakland County Treasurer seat. And I am running with the support of your state rep and your state senator and your mayor and some of your council members. I have actually all of my Democratic legislators, state legislators from Oakland County have endorsed me. The current treasurer actually has endorsed me. So just getting out there doing the work. Just want to remind you all that I am running for Oakland County Treasurer. Just briefly, I know I came to speak to your club about the graduated income tax. I've been the leading sponsor of the graduated income tax. I actually took it from Jim Townsend, who was your former state representative, and working with Jim Ellison, your current state representative. And then also I'm the founder and chair of our Legislative Gun Violence Prevention Caucus. So I've been working on a lot of good progressive issues at the state legislature and want to continue that work at the county level. So if you want to find out more, you can go to my website, which is www.robertwittenberg.com. Easy enough to remember. So please consider me when you vote in August. Thanks, Tom, and thank you, Royal Oak Dems.
Thanks, Robert. Robert Wittenberg, longtime friend of the Greater Royal Oak Democratic Club. Dr. Rima, please go ahead. Dr. Rima. And Dr. Rima, please go ahead. And you're still muted. I don't know if you're trying to talk, but you're still muted. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the host was muting me when I was trying to unmute. They were like, no, order, law and order. So I appreciate you having me here, Royal Oak Dems. I appreciate you responding so quickly. Chair Tom, I appreciate you all having me today. I am Dr. Rima Reynolds Vassar. Actually, it's a mouthful, so I just shortened it to Dr. Rima, and I am running for MSU Board of Trustees. So I'm running based on my experience as a lifelong educator. I've been a principal, a counselor, a teacher in K-12 schools for close to 30 years, and I've been in higher ed since 2005. And so I've done everything from clean a school at Western Michigan University. I worked at a small company called Service Master, and we cleaned schools, and I was in charge of putting people in those positions to clean. So I would clean the school just so I could see, you know, the walls and how all the different teachers decorated. And so I've been in schools, well, all my life, but as an educator since '97. And so I was approached around running, and I thought, well, why would they want me to run? I'm a professor at Eastern Michigan University, an associate professor. I am also the Black Student Union advisor, the NAACP advisor, and I teach master's and doc level courses for ed leadership. And I'm thinking, why would they want me to run? But it's because of my advocacy. So MSU has some work to do around students being student-centered, and I'm the closest to students. I'm on the ground with them. I can bring their voices into our conversations and our policy making. And so I think that's the best reason why that they gave me to run. And I'm also a proud mother of, she's a junior, it's hard to believe, of a junior Spartan. And so she talks to me about her concerns as a woman, her concerns as a Black woman on that campus. And I have a husband who graduated in 1989, and some of the things that he experienced at Michigan State are some of the same experiences that she's having now. It's time to change, and I'm the leader for that change. And I appreciate your support so much coming up in the convention.
Thank you, Dr. Rima. Dr. Rima, again, a candidate for the MSU Board of Trustees. Lori Saven. Lori Saven, please go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, everyone. I'm Lori Saven. It's good to see you all again. Most of you heard what I had to say during the candidate forum, so I am not going to take up too much of your time. I just want to let everybody know that I will be on the August primary ballot. And it is in the nonpartisan area, you know, at the very, very end. I just saw my sample ballot yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be long. So please don't get tired out, especially when you're voting from home. It's really easy to just keep going and fill in that little circle. I am a candidate for the Oakland County Circuit Court Judge seat, the non-incumbent seat that's open. And I wanted to share with everybody a couple items. First, I know that there's some frustration with the court because we are still not open and fully functioning, and a lot of matters are, it's just slow. You know, everything takes longer for everybody now that we're working remotely, so it is a slow process. But certainly if there are any concerns or people have questions, you know, I am always available to try and help people navigate the system. I know at the front of the court, we are crazy busy. I'm working 6 days a week just to try and keep up and make sure I'm meeting every deadline and get decisions, because people need parenting time orders and people need child support changes. And we are doing the very best we can. We're all working remotely, and I appreciate people's patience. But if you are having problems or concerns, please reach out to me. I'll put my contact number and email in the chat. I do want to just do a shout out. Kalix, who works at my dry cleaner, that's where she is today. She wants to connect with Paula, but I'm not sure if Paula saw her information and Calix is just listening. So I am going to make sure you guys connect Calix because Indivisible is awesome. So I want to make sure you get hooked up with them since you want to volunteer. Thank you all so much, everybody. Please be safe. And today is still the weekend of Orange. I just noticed my husband and kid were working out in Orange. So we're Orange to honor those people that have lost their lives through gun violence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori Saban. Now, our final candidate's going to be Tim Chikorsky. Then after Tim, we'll go right to our elected officials. So if you're an elected official in the meeting, please go ahead and click that blue raise hand icon so we know you're here and we should call on you. But Tim Chikorsky, candidate for the Royal Oak School Board, please go ahead.
All right, super quick update. What I thought was going to be an uncontested race looks like it's no longer that way. There's a candidate who appears to have some strong Republican leanings. So we'll know more July 25th when the last day to withdraw from the ballot is. And I'm sure that I will be asking for help if I need any. Thank you.
When is that election again for Royal Oak School Board?
In November.
Okay, November of this year. Okay.
I'll do on July 21st. I luckily got mine in just prior to everything being shut down in March. So I'm the only one so far.
All righty, thank you, Tim Chikorsky, candidate for the Royal Oak School Board and our club secretary. Representative Jim Ellison, please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here. We are just starting to get back to semi-quasi-normal up in Lansing. We're back to meeting once a week. We are meeting by practicing safe distancing. We've got half of our legislators on the House floor, the other half up in the balcony, so we can maintain the 6-foot distance. We've got basically 100% of the Democrats wearing masks and probably 60% of the Republicans wearing masks. So, we know who's going to survive. As far as the legislation, most of the work we've been doing is legislation required to get us past this COVID-19 crisis. I got some legislation that's going to be voted out of committee on Tuesday, which extends the deadline for somebody to file a appeal on their property taxes, because that deadline expired when everything else was closed. So simple things like that we're going to have to make life a little bit easier for people that are trying to get things done. I know the Senate the other day, overwhelmingly, majority, unanimously, passed a bill stepping up police training, which is very prevalent in this day and age right now. So we've got that going on. Unemployment insurance has been dominating my office for the last 10 weeks. The Unemployment Insurance Agency, we as legislators, and I'm speaking for myself, we're just damn tired of making excuses for them. The system is so screwed up right now, and it's fallen back on my staff, who is legislative staff and not unemployment insurance staff, to try to fix the problems. And we've got people out there that have been going for 10, now going on 11 weeks of not getting their checks, and we're dealing with some crises. We had a person who has been waiting for his check for 10 weeks, and we had to talk him off the ledge. He was threatening suicide. So this is how important it is. And so we got to the UIA leadership and saying, do your damn job. This is not our job. My 22-year-old staffer is not prepared to deal with some of the crises these people are going through, although she's doing a hell of a job. It's just not her job to do. And so we're pushing on UIA. We know that we need to give them some funding. We had given them funding a number of years ago, and they invested it in this crazy ultra-modern computer program that promptly started accusing people of taking too much money, and that caused a big lawsuit. And so any advances we made were taken away. So we're right back to where we were. So they announced, we hired 300 people last week. Well, yeah, now that when you're done training those people, then when you're done training those people, then maybe they can get the work done. But yeah, so it's the crisis right now, and that's what we're dealing with. And as far as everything else, we're starting to get back to normal. Like I say, We're meeting at least once a week. I expect us maybe a couple times this week to drive up to Lansing. I know I've got a committee meeting on Tuesday, which I normally don't have. So, yeah, we're just trying to get the job done, get back to work, and to go that, and so that we can get ready for our campaign season. As far as my election, I'm unopposed in the primary in August, but there is 2 Republicans in the primary for my seat, so we'll watch that and see who I'm going to be opposing in November. So other than that, unless anybody's got any questions.
And if you do have any questions for Jim right now, and if you're an elected official and you've already clicked that raise hand icon, just leave it clicked, no problem. I'll assume you're just going to speak as an elected official. But if you have any questions for Jim Ellison right now, if you could please click that blue raise hand icon and we'll recognize you. Belém Morales, please go ahead.
Good morning, Representative Ellison. Thank you so much for being here. You kind of answered my question, but I just want to reiterate, can you just tell us why it's not Governor Whitmer's fault that the unemployment system isn't working?
Because Governor Whitmer wasn't the one that signed the budget that took their money away.
Thank you.
That's a simple answer. I mean, this is, we've been in Republican majority for, a good number of years, and they hold the purse strings. And, apparently it wasn't worth it for them to invest in the UIA as much as they should have. Now we're paying the price for that. I mean, the system, in fairness to the system, it was never designed to deal with what we're dealing with. And, so we were going under the assumption that the amount of unemployment insurance claims we'd have would be, pretty much the same as what it's been for a long time. And then all of a sudden we get hit with this. And it's 5 times what it was. And they're not staffed up. The computer system can't handle it. The phone system can't handle it. And so, our staff, all of our staff, I speak for, all 109 of us, we all stepped up and said we can help. And so our staff's been doing a lot of referring, but it gets to the point when you've got UIA telling their clients to call their state representative, that's bad. They're just pushing the whole game back on us, and that's not what my staff is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be doing legislative stuff. They can't get it done.
Does anybody have any more questions for Representative Jim Ellison? If you do, click that blue raise hand icon right now. Okay, let's go to our next elected official, Charlene Douglas, Royal Oak City Commissioner. Please go ahead. And you're still muted, Char. There you go.
Hi, Tom. Thanks. Can you hear me? Listen, I see Commissioner Dubuck is in the call, and so I know he's going to want to talk about a couple of initiatives he's put onto the City Commission meeting agenda for Monday. So I'll leave those to him. I do want to point out that another agenda item coming up on Monday is COVID-19 temporary business permits. This will enable downtown businesses to use the sidewalks and metered parking spaces to expand their businesses. Outside the downtown, businesses can expand into private property. Obviously, this benefits restaurants. The restaurants should be able to serve alcohol as long as their operating spaces are defined and fenced off. Their businesses will need a permit, but there's no fee to apply for the permit, and they will be able to use sidewalks and those downtown parking spaces at no charge. So we're really trying to get our, obviously our downtown brings people from all over Southeast Michigan, and we want them to be safe when they're here. So I'll leave that there. I think Commissioner Perush is here, and as I said, perhaps even the mayor, and I'll leave them to touch on perhaps some of the other things that we're looking at right now.
Thank you, City Commissioner Charlene Douglas. Oakland County Commissioner Penny Lubes, go ahead, please. Penny Lubes.
Hi, thank you, everybody. I've been a county commissioner since 2018 and running again in November. I don't have an opponent in the primary. I have 2 Republicans in the November election, but let me tell you what's going on in Oakland County. So yesterday, Dave and Woodward and I visited some of the cities distributing the return to work toolkits. And I was pleased to see how many businesses took advantage of that. We also set aside $30 million for local governments in Oakland County to support our cities for reimbursement to expenses related to the COVID-19. So cities have until December 30th to submit invoices to the county, and the reimbursement can go back to March. We also have, I was pleased to see how much support there is for our veterans. We do have a $1 million emergency grant assistance for Oakland County veterans, service members, and eligible family members affected by the virus. So the grants are for emergency assistance for rent, mortgage, utilities, health matters, and reopen kits for the American Legions and the VFW. Our Michigan Works office is also assisting with unemployment claims. They've been trained now to work and assist with the claims with their report is minor matters. So if somebody does have difficulty with unemployment, other than calling Jim, your representative, you could call the Michigan Works office, and there is an office in Troy. We've also started a social isolation among seniors task force, and we're moving pretty quickly with that task force to work with a number of our agencies in Oakland County to see how we can reduce social isolation and loneliness. Those factors have been linked to many physical and mental health problems, including heart disease, diabetes, anxiety, and depression in our community. So there, just like Jim, we have been busy focusing our efforts on COVID-19 and how we can provide relief and support to our businesses and people who live in Oakland County. I know that Dave Woodward is also on the line, so I'll let him provide the more updates also. But thank you very much.
Thanks, Penny. Then we'll let Dave Woodward speak, and then if anybody has any questions for county commissioners, we'll handle them both at once. So County Commissioner Dave Woodward, please go ahead.
All right. Good morning. Good to be with everybody. I put it in the chat. Can you hear me, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I put it in the chat because that Commissioner Loobs talked about the Veteran Assistance Fund. Truth is that Commissioner Loobs created the Veterans Assistance Fund, and now it comes from a long family of veterans and has children currently still serving. Without our majority, the things we've been able to do as a county to respond to COVID and this current economic as well as the other social issues that are erupting across the nation, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I want to make a plug to make sure that Penny Loobs has to come back so that we can hold this majority. I'm just going to talk, I'm not going to repeat anything that Penny covered. I'm going to talk a little bit about public health. I think I maybe mentioned this before, but as things have developed, that we've increased testing capacity as the curve is flattened. Oakland County has COVID testing available free of charge at all of our public health, both of our public health departments in Southfield at Greenfield and Catalpa, as well as Pontiac. And we also have a site in Novi. All you have to do is call the nurse on call number with Oakland County. That's 1-800-848-5533. Spread the word. So those sites, they're scheduled appointments, no same day testing, but scheduled appointments, and we can get you in there. We also have additional pop-up sites in areas that are at high risk. We have a site coming up online in Royal Oak Township and other areas around the county, and we'll continue to do that. In the process, also developing a mobile unit that can move more quickly and rapidly to hit hotspots. Preparing for a second wave should one occur. We are also in the process of discussing, and will likely next week be approving hiring a bunch of nurses to upwards, I think about 50 nurses to service our public schools with the hope that they open and to be able to help with safe opening and monitoring our schools going forward. And so the concept of school nurses is not a new concept. It's just they've kind of gone away due to funding, and we are going to move resources to bring school nursing nurses back. As we look at preparing for helping families address the economic crisis that we're in and assistance for people, this week we formally rolled out the application for the Oakland County Oakland Together Community Response and Recovery Fund. This is a $10 million fund in partnership with United Way for Southeast Michigan that our county executive proposed partnering with to make certain that we have resources that can go to nonprofits that really help support the social safety net in our communities. That application went live on Thursday. Spread the word to local nonprofits. You can go to the Oakland County oakgov.com website and get the application. We want to push those dollars out as quickly as possible with the goal of pushing those dollars out in the next 45 days. We're also in the process of developing a direct assistance program to help families that we know as this thing continues, at least in the short term, there's going to be increasing pressure on food security, housing security, utility security, a series of those things, making certain that direct assistance is available. And we are committed to making sure that that happens as well. Penny mentioned the support that we put in the unemployment offices, so I'll skip over that. And then we just transition to stabilization and recovery. Obviously, I just keep thinking that just imagine if the Republicans were in charge in this crisis and what we would be doing compared to what we are doing. Oakland County led the effort. We've pushed out more money to help support our local businesses than any other county in the state. In a way, most directly, we've democratized how we've done it to get it to the people who need it most. We launched the Oakland County's Small Business Stabilization Fund. Really had two programs to it. One, we call it the Saving Business, Saving Lives. We turn to our local mom and pop manufacturing, a $1 million commitment of resources to say, hey, if we can help you flip over your manufacturing to produce the personal protection equipment you need, we have resources to do it. And we've pushed out most of that money to be able to make that happen. A lot in local businesses, including those here in Royal Oak, taking advantage of that, in addition to another $14 million in small business grants to over 4,000 businesses across Oakland County. There are more that are coming. And we are committed to now at this next phase, making certain that we support individual sectors to help grow, help not only stabilize the economy as we have it right now, but recover and help thrive in and position Oakland County back to where we are as the driver of the state's economy. Last thing I just want to mention is in regards to elections, and I think there's a lot of observations of primaries happening around the country. This is the thing that if there's one thing that's keeping me asleep at night is how do we run an election in a pandemic, and all the efforts to help push this to a vote by mail election as much as possible, the August primary as well as November. There's a lot to be done. And so this week, next week, you'll hear me announcing the formation of the Oakland County Safe, Healthy, and Secure Election Advisory Council. Working with local clerks, have actually asked our Royal Oak clerk to be part of this, and she's agreed. As well as other local clerks and democracy advocacy organizations to make recommendations, not only in funding, but what are some of the policy things that we need to be able to make sure it happen to guarantee that every vote counts, to make sure that we do it in a safe way, and to make sure that it's secure. We can count all this surge of absentee ballots that we know is coming that we are not prepared for yet. So you'll hear more about what we're going to be doing in regards to that, but I'm really excited that there's urgency, excitement, and commitment. You're going to see this, our Democratic caucus bring forth recommendations that make certain that we run these safe, healthy, secure elections this year. That's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Woodward. If you have a question for Commissioner Woodward, please click that blue raise hand icon. And I'm just going to piggyback on what Dave said. One thing you can do if you want to help in this election is apply to be an election inspector down at the Royal Oak City Clerk's office, and so you can help on election day. They do need people to apply. They are short right now, so if you want to ensure that at least in Royal Oak the election runs smoothly, consider doing that. Laurie Saven, you had a question, please go ahead.
Quick question. I know there's some confusion. The tests that the county are running are just the COVID-19 tests. do you have the antibody tests? Because some people that are looking at returning to work are trying to decide whether to return to work if they've been, you know, exposed and had it and just didn't have the symptoms.
So thank you, Laura. It's a great question. I get that question almost every single day. So I'm going to give the Dave Woodward answer, and then I'm going to give like the public health department answer. The Dave Woodward answers. The antibody tests don't work. There's so many on the market. There are some that are better than others, and we don't know enough about whether or not, even if you have the antibodies, can you get it again? There's evidence of people who've had it once, had COVID once, and can get it again, and then be a spreader of it for others. So, directly, yes, the COVID tests that we were doing is the viral test, the RNA tests, the swabs, mouth or nasal, that they are able to say, yes, you have this right now, or no, you don't. Hopefully, and our public health department is working aggressively to try to vet, are there antibody tests that are good? And when we get to that point, then we will bring them online. I'll just give you like one horror story that we did have one of our Republican townships had a buddy who knew a buddy and got a bunch of antibody tests and distributed to a bunch of law enforcement officers, and we found the test didn't work at all, and it was the absolute way, and we spent wasted time collecting everything back. That was not done with our health department. It was people who are hoping that the antibody test is the answer that says, listen, I had it and now I'm safe. We don't know enough about it, and there's so many false positives. They're out there. If it gives you peace of mind, fine. I'm just going to say that our public health department is very weary of relying anything on these antibody tests right now until we know more information.
Yeah, to borrow an Australian phrase, those antibody tests aren't worth a you-know-what. Okay. City Commissioner, does anybody have any more questions for Dave Woodward or for Penny Loops? Kim Moon, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm currently a pharmacist, and before I was a pharmacist, I actually worked in medical labs. That's what my bachelor's degree is in. The antibody test, it really depends on what test it is. You know, when the antibody test first came out, yes, there were a lot of reliability problems and things like that. The FDA has cracked down, so the testing is, you know, better than it was, you know, a month or two ago. So I wouldn't say they're totally worthless. I do have a friend, you know, again, N of one, but I do have a friend who got coronavirus at work. He's a healthcare worker, and his antibody test did come back positive. So they're not, I wouldn't say they're completely useless. However, I will say that we don't know that if you have antibodies, are you truly immune, and, you know, how long those antibodies last and things like that. So, you know, you can get the test, but it, you know, we don't really know what it means yet. So, you know, just keep that in mind, especially if you're in a position at your work, you know, they want to require this. Tell them, well, that's not really it's not really scientifically evidence-based to require, you know, an antibody test before you go back to work at this time.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
What Kim said.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and go on to our Royal Oak City Commissioners. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hear from Royal Oak City Commissioners Kyle DeBook and Pat Perush, and then if you have any questions for them. Then we're going to do a calendar item. Then we're going to adjourn, and then after we adjourn, if you'd like to stay on the meeting, we're going to hear from Maria Saminsky about the Michigan Voter Protection Project that the MDP is doing. So elected officials report will continue. City Commissioner Kyle DeBuck, could you please go ahead?
Sure, thanks, Tom. I guess I'll just talk a little bit about the moment we're in. The latest horrific examples of the result of our collective failure to address systemic racism and oppression, and our opportunity to actually have a real conversation and address it as a nation. So Royal Oak wants to do its part. So on Monday night, we've brought forward a resolution. I don't know if you all have seen it. It's not perfect, you know, there's much to say, but stating our solidarity with the protesters demanding justice, and stating Royal Oak's commitment to being better moving forward. So have a look at that. That'll be up for a vote on Monday. My hope is that it passes unanimously, and that there will be some support from the community for that statement. Obviously, committing ourselves to the principals means following it up with action. So there's also an item on our agenda that I brought forward with both of these with the support of Commissioners Macy and Douglas. I'm sure that the others are supportive as well. To form a Human Rights Commission in Royal Oak. There's plenty of models for this, Ann Arbor, Ferndale. Our new city manager comes from a city, Morgantown, West Virginia, which also had one, so he'll have some helpful insight as to how to structure it. But we have a human rights ordinance where we've declared ourselves a welcoming city, and this would be a place to house those, to make those real, tangible, policy priorities that are helping to drive and inform how we operate on a day-to-day basis, but also a place to bring concerns, to interact with the police department, to be sure, but all departments, to make sure that we are really addressing systemic inequality and barriers and institutionalized racism by making it a place that we regularly, as a formal city body, come together to specifically address those issues. So we don't know exactly what the structure will look like yet, but there are proven models that I think inspire what we want to do. So, if you have thoughts or feedback on that, we're open to that. We recognize that the city is imperfect, and we've got, like all other communities, a lot of work to do to be the city that we want to be. So that's my priority right now.
Alrighty, does anybody have any questions for City Commissioner Kyle DeBuck? If you do, please click that raise hand icon. Laurie, did you have another question, or is that just from your old icon? Oh, okay. If you have any questions for Kyle DeBuck, please click that raise hand icon. Alrighty, thank you very much, Kyle. Oh, excuse me, Belem, go ahead. Belem has a question. And you're muted, Belem.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you to Kyle for taking this very important step. It's very important that our local elected officials acknowledge publicly that we do have a racial disparity crisis in our hands. Just want to say thank you.
Okay, thanks, Belem. Any other questions for Commissioner Kyle DeBuck?
Tom, I would just add that today, in case everyone doesn't know, there is a demonstration in Royal Oak today at 2 o'clock, and folks are comfortable coming out. We are still in the middle of the pandemic, so we have to distance and wear masks. But if folks feel comfortable coming out, I encourage folks to join.
Yeah, 2 p.m. today in front of Royal Oak City Hall, a protest for the Black Lives Matter movement. And if you're free, we're going to be there with the banner, the club. So if you want to walk with the club, we'll have the banner there. You'll be able to find us. Royal Oak City Commissioner Pat Perush, please go ahead.
Good morning. A couple of announcements and then just a quick follow-up to what Kyle was talking about. First of all, city facilities are starting to open up a little bit. You may have seen some of the announcements on Facebook about some of the facilities. The library is starting to open. It will open on Monday, but it will not open to the public on Monday. That just means that the staff can get back into the building. They've been out of the building for ever since the lockdown. That will enable them to finalize their opening up to the public plan, which has been sketched out in pretty good detail. It's going to start out with just contactless picking up of materials for a period of time, and then we'll eventually moving toward the end of the summer, early fall, to when people can actually go back into the building and get materials on their own. It's going to be a graduated opening process. It's going to be tweaked as they go forward, but at least the doors are going to be open to the staff on Monday. City Hall is still closed. Staff members are inside working remotely, some of them are working remotely from home when they can. The building department is starting to accept applications for building permits. They do this remotely, either electronically, or you can actually submit your plans into the box that sits out in front of the police station. It looks like a mailbox, but it's not. It's a big white box. It's the city box where you can deposit materials, absentee ballots, all kinds of stuff. But if you want to submit plans to get a building permit, you can stick them in there and just call the department and let them know they're in there. They check the box regularly and take materials from there. Obviously, some people have heard, you may have already seen children out in the playgrounds. The playgrounds are now open with the play structures. The yellow tape is gone. But the city is asking that everyone maintain social distancing. I know that's a hard thing. We have a 3-year-old, 4-year-old now. granddaughter, and it's hard to explain to her that she needs to stay far away from other kids. But the city really recommends that you do that as much as you can, because this virus is not gone yet. So you'll notice city facilities gradually reopening. The new city hall is now scheduled to open in mid-August. That was pushed back because of the virus. And the police station is scheduled to open later on in the year, maybe November. Hopefully, we're still in some decent weather when it can reopen. So it's moving along too, but it's going to take a little bit longer. So those things are yet to come. Just to kind of follow up what Kyle was talking about, I'm just so proud that he and Shar and Melanie moved to put the Human Rights Commission resolution on the agenda for Monday. I think that's a very, very important step. But I think it's important for you all to understand that, at least from my perspective, and I think from the perspective of everyone who sits on the city commission, we have an extremely progressive police department in many ways, and including our chief. When he was appointed in 2011, one of the first things that he did is establish for the department a series of what he calls core values, which are 4 values that he is determined to have the department operate under on a 100% basis. And he expects all of his officers to do that as well. The core values are on the police department website, and if I can figure out how to do a chat, when I'm done speaking, I'll put up the link to it. But Corey O'Donoghue, our police chief, is very, very, very determined to make sure that his department operates with integrity, with fairness, and treating everyone as equally as possible, looking out for vulnerable populations, for vulnerable people in the community. They're a very compassionate, progressive, forward-looking department. I think in a lot of ways, it stems from the fact that Royal Oak has a history of opening itself up to protest marches. We regularly permit those to happen. We have large events like Arts, Beats, and Eats and the Dream Cruise, which brings in populations and people from all across the country, all across the metro area. So the police department has a lot of experience dealing with people who come from everywhere, who have different backgrounds and different life experiences. And I think that experience has demonstrated in ways that they just have a deeper level of understanding about the differences and how to make the population feel safe and fair. And I think that's to our credit. That does not mean that we do not have work to do. As a community, we all have a lot of work to do, both in terms of making our police practices even better than they are, and in terms of expanding equality and opportunities for people of all types and all kinds in our community. We have a lot of work to do. Everyone has a lot of work to do. All of us as individuals and all of us in a community. But I think to our credit, we are starting from a good foundation based upon the core values that the police department has determined to operate under. There again, they're not all perfect either. They know that as each day comes and new issues arise, they need to make changes and they need to adjust and they need to improve. But I think we're starting from a good basis. But I also think that the establishment of the Human Rights Commission, which I'm convinced is going to pass on Monday, is another forward-looking step that we as a community can do to expand not only the issues that we're dealing with in terms of the response to the community, the police issues, but also other issues of human rights in the community. And we all know of instances where those things have arisen in the past couple of years, in the school situation and others. So we all have a lot of work to do, but I think the Human Rights Commission that Kyle is proposing on Monday is a good step for the community. And we all look forward to making more progress in the community. And that's it. I think that's all of my announcements and stuff for today. It's good to see all of you. I wish we could see you all in person, but we'll get there.
Any questions for City Commissioner Pat Baruch? If you have any questions for her, go ahead and click that blue raise hand icon. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now, we're going to do a few if you have a calendar item that you want to announce, go ahead and click that blue raise hand icon so we know to call on you. Then we're going to adjourn. Then we're going to turn it over to Maria Saminsky with the Michigan Voter Protection Project. I just had 2 calendar items. First, today, 2 p.m. in front of Royal Oak City Hall. We're going to have the Black Lives Matter rally. So if you'd like to join us, we'll be there with the club banner. We're going to do our Democrats and Beer event on Sunday, July 12th. We're going to do it virtually online. So we'll send you more details about that. If you're an elected official, you got an email asking if you wanted to donate. So please reply to that email. I know we've already got back from Melanie and Penny. If you're interested, we'll collect donations from elected officials like we usually do. We're going to use that money to advertise the event as opposed to send out postcards. We're going to advertise online. Then we're going to ask people who want to participate to kick in $10 online, and it'll be optional. So it'll be a much lower dollar event than usual, but hopefully we'll have some fun. And so anybody else have any other calendar events? Rachel Andrews, please go ahead.
I don't have a calendar event. I just want to say I've been so impressed with this club and how engaged and active and interesting it's been through this COVID crisis. There's been so many amazing online events, and I've learned so much and gotten so out of it. And I just want to thank leadership. I know I'm on the board, but there are people on the board who do so much, and I think they deserve some applause because it's been super impressive.
We have an excellent club. We have a very strong board, and yeah, I'm very proud to be their chair. It's been a wonderful experience. State Representative Jim Ellison, please go ahead. And you're still muted, Jim.
I figured that out. Just wanted to say that the city of Madison Heights at noon today is also having a protest rally in front of their city hall, starting over by the gazebo. If anybody's familiar with the area, so I'll be heading out there before I go over to the Royal Oak one. And I think it was a question I saw earlier. The Royal Oak rally is in front of the old city hall. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, just to reiterate that, the old City Hall at 211 South Williams, they haven't moved into the new City Hall yet. They're going to meet in front of the old City Hall. Belém Morales, please go ahead. And you're still muted. There you go.
Okay, so Fems for Dems is hosting a fundraiser for Congresswoman Haley Stevens on June 25th. So you can always go to the Fems, go ahead and like our Fems for Dems Facebook page, and you should have all the upcoming events. We're also hosting a Jocelyn Benson fundraiser as well, and you can also check out how to register for that. Oh, it's going to be a voter registration drive fundraiser. And then July, yeah, that's all we're having. So just go ahead and like the Facebook page for Fems for Dems, and you can be notified of their current events. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Belém and Helper. Does anybody have any other announcements? Okay, so we're going to adjourn. We're going to break for 60 seconds, and then we're going to turn it over to Maria Saminsky with the Michigan Voter Protection Project. So we're going to adjourn now for 60 seconds, and if you're interested in the voter protection, oh, excuse me, Lauren Jasinski, please go ahead.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to jump in, but it wasn't exactly a calendar item. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm also incredibly proud of the city for the work that's been done so far, but I think all of us definitely acknowledge the fact that a lot more needs to be done, right? And social media posts and things like that only go so far. I've started putting together some resources. I just dropped them down into the chat. By no means are they exhaustive or 100% complete, but I think that they give us a lot of things to think about. There are some ways to educate ourselves, things to read about, things to watch, things to listen to, some suggestions for podcasts. There's also places to donate, a list of local Black-owned businesses that we can support throughout this time, and also some ways to get active in our area right now. So take a look at that. If you've got any suggestions or things that you want to share, things that you've come across that were really helpful, we can go ahead and just kind of keep that moving and living. So the link is in the chat, and I hope to see everybody at 2.
And then Tim Chikorsky, please go ahead.
Last month we moved to hold a endorsement vote this meeting. I would like to move to endorse Lori Saban as the candidate that the Royal Oak Democratic Club is endorsing for the circuit court. And also I would move to support the endorsement of Karen McDonald for prosecutor.
All righty, so Tim Chikorsky has moved that we endorse Laurie Saven for the court and Karen McDonald for county prosecutor. Is there a second? If there is a second, just click the raise hand icon. Okay, so we've got a second. Is there any discussion? If you have any discussion you'd like to make on this motion, click the blue raise hand icon and we'll call on you.
I just think we should, I just want to interject real quick. We should probably take those as two separate votes, one for each candidate rather than one combined motion.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do discussion on both, then we'll take each vote separately. Lisa Mason, please go ahead.
Tim, I think that was her support for the motion.
Oh, okay. Lisa Mason, did you have anything you wanted to say for discussion? Belém Morales, please go ahead.
Okay, I agree with Ian. We should have two separate discussions on that. Obviously, I think Karen McDonald should be endorsed by our club. She's so much better than our current Jessica Cooper prosecutor, and I think it's a good time to try to elect out officials who are willing to recognize the racial issues that we have in this country. As far as the circuit court judge endorsement, I think it's a little premature. I think we have 3 amazing candidates, or maybe 4 amazing candidates. They're all really great, and I think we need the voters' input as to who is going to be the person that we are wanting to endorse. So I just think that for the circuit court endorsement, I think we should wait on that. And for Karen McDonald, I think it's important, very important, that we endorse her early.
Okay, thank you, Belém. Is there any other discussion on that motion on the floor? If you have any discussion you'd like to make, please click that blue raise hand icon. Tim Chikorsky, go ahead.
We don't have another meeting scheduled prior to the primary election in August. So it's either now or we will be unable to endorse.
That's correct. Yeah, we don't have any more meetings. Belém, did you have a follow-up? Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, my follow-up is that I understand that it's important that we endorse, but I think for the circuit court judge, we should wait until after the primary. Okay. So, and we're doing that with most people that are running, most candidates. So I don't think it's completely unreasonable to wait until after the primary.
All righty, you made your point there. County Commissioner Dave Woodward, please go ahead.
My point is a little bit related to Belém's. I mean, I guess my first question is, I know Laura, I know two of the people running for judges are Democrats and members of the Democratic Party. I don't know if all 3 are. And as I understand, like the vote in the August primary is going to narrow the field of 3 to 2. And so I don't know if that's been taken in consideration. I don't know, and I guess I'll trust the leadership of the board if you've vetted that already and you know that answer. I want someone who shares our values, the Democrat on the bench, and then I think there's appropriate to continue to vet further. But if we are going to take an action at this juncture, since we're going to narrow it to 2 choices come the August primary, and then to Belém's point, I think we can develop a questionnaire or ask those questions to make certain that the values of this club are represented in the candidate who's running for judge.
Thank you, Dave. City Commissioner Kyle DeBuck, please go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Dave and Belém. I think that endorsing the prosecutor's primary is appropriate, but in the judicial race, and I don't have a favorite right now, but I think after the primary, taking a look at who we want to put our support behind would be the right time.
Thanks, Kyle. Paul Weil, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what Dave just said. I have the official ballot in front of me, and in the August 4th primary, it says vote for not more than 1. So we're not going from two in August to 1 in November. So just wanted to include that in there. So if we are to make a decision, it would be just for 1 and not for 2.
Okay, so we're going to split this up into 4 votes. And again, don't vote if you're not a dues paying member. We usually go on the honor system. That's just because it would take so long to go and verify everybody's identity. So we're going to go on the honor system. So first, and then the way you vote, you open up that participants window, and there's a green yes button and a red no button. So just vote accordingly there. So the first vote we're going to take is, should we endorse in the county prosecutor race? So everybody please vote right now if you're a dues paying member. Should we endorse in the county prosecutor race? If you agree we should, click yes, and if you think we should not, please click no.
Unfortunately, we only get one vote, you know.
No, should we endorse in the county prosecutor's race? So click yes if you think we should, and click no if you think we shouldn't. And the ayes clearly have that one. Okay, so everybody, if you could clear your green yes button by toggling it.
I can clear everybody, so I can just do that after each vote. It'll be confusing.
And so now, we decided we are going to endorse in the county prosecutor's race. If you believe our club should endorse Karen McDonald in the county prosecutor's race, click the green yes button right now. Can anybody do a quick count of that?
30 yes, 0 no.
Okay, so go ahead and clear those. And then if you believe we should endorse the incumbent Jessica Cooper for county prosecutor, please click that green yes button right now. Yeah, okay, it's obvious we've endorsed Karen McDonald for county prosecutor. Okay, if you could clear the board. Now we're gonna the first question is, should we endorse in the county judge race? And that's Laurie Saven, Mara Battersby Murphy are both in the meeting. Should we endorse in that race? If you believe we should endorse, click the green yes button. If you believe we should not endorse, click the green no button. Yeah, it looks like we are divided, but there's a clear majority against endorsing in that race, so we won't even ask about endorsing in that race. Okay, thank you everybody for participating in that. And now, does anybody have any calendar items or announcements they want to make before we go? Alrighty, so we are going to adjourn for 60 seconds just to give everybody a chance to use the restroom or get a drink of water or whatever. Then we're going to come back. We're going to hear from Mara Saminsky with the Michigan Voter Protection Project. So I'll see everybody in 60 seconds.